Because LeBron James has decided that he will not have any social justice messages on the back of his jersey. LeBron said that he commended players who would choose to do so, but it's, quote, just something that didn't really seriously resonate with his mission, with my goal. Shannon, are you surprised by this?
No, I'm absolutely not surprised by this, Skip. I think his body of work speaks for itself. I think we've seen what he's done with the Trayvon Martin situation, Skip, wearing the T-shirt, Eric Gardner, I Can't Breathe. We see his initiative, the IPS school. We see his initiative with getting people out to vote. So LeBron James is not a symbolic type of a guy. He's a guy that does the actual work. And I commend all the players, Skip, whether you have Black Lives Matter, say her name, whatever you choose to put on your back of your jersey.
Yep.
I'm not here to judge you or critique you. But for LeBron James, I am not surprised, Skip. And I equate it to this with Skip, for me, I played for Mike Shanahan for 7 years. In all of his years as a head coach, I was the only guy that was not required to come to off-season conditioning. You know why? He says, because I already know what he does. And this guy, I don't need to question his resume when it comes to conditioning. I think LeBron James is one of those guys, you don't need to question his resume when it comes to his causes and what he does for the community and people of color. I think that's unquestioned. Okay. And so for me, I don't have a problem with it. I saw Kyle Korver doing Black Lives Matter. Kyle Korver has been very outspoken that he's been reading up. And he says, you know what? We need to do more. I need to do more. We need to do more as a society, as a white society. We need to hear our black brethren call and come to order. So, Skip, I am not surprised that LeBron James chose this path because, you know, that's a great symbolic gesture. But at the end of the day, LeBron James is about results, and he's been one on the ground getting results. So I am not surprised.
I have a lot to say about this.
Go ahead.
I told you the first day this story broke that there was an approved list, period, end of story.
Yes.
That it hit me the wrong way.
Yeah, you was out front. You didn't like it.
This is the time in the growth of this nation in which personalized freedom of expression should be elevated to the top degree, that it should be encouraged, it should be embraced, especially by the National Basketball Association that has been so forward-thinking, so progressive in this area. And it shocked me and it rocked me that the NBA said, here, this is it, and drew these very strict out-of-bounds lines.
Here's your list.
Here's your list. Now pick one. I do not blame LeBron James for saying, well, wait a second, I had something I wanted to say, but it's not on your list.
Right.
And LeBron said he did not have any say-so in said list. LeBron James didn't have any say-so?
That's surprising.
What are you talking about? He's the face of your league.
Yeah.
He is your ultimate justice warrior in this league.
Yeah.
Colin Kaepernick in the other league, but this man, not that he's blazed cap trails, but he has been out front, outspoken from well before Colin Kaepernick first took a knee. He has led the charge. So you're right. He's got the greatest resume in this day and age that
or
we're
as
in.
we say, equity.
Equity. He's built equity. He does. He's bought insurance on this one. So he can do whatever he chooses to do. But when he says, I wish I'd had some say-so, you didn't ask him? I thought Chris Paul was in on this because he's the president of the Players Association. So Chris didn't at least pick up the phone and say, Bron, we're thinking about doing this. You got any ideas? Wouldn't Adam Silver at least touch base with that man about this?
Because, Skip, like you said, look, this is what we know about the NBA. The NBA and the NBAPA, Skip, they worked hand in hand. And all the protocols and how they were going to go about their business is that, okay, Michelle Roberts, Chris Paul, talking to Adam Silver, going back and forth. And as you said, they give you a list. And they look at it, and LeBron looked at the list like, well, this it? It's like your mom sending you to the grocery. Okay, boy, hey, get what's on that list. Don't bring anything else back in this house that ain't on that list. So basically, they told LeBron, this is the list. Don't you add anything to the back of your jersey that's not on this list. LeBron said, forget it.
Okay, forget it. Is it a little bit of LeBron pouting? Maybe a little bit, but it is a very deserved pout in this case. You got to ask him. Or you're going to get that reaction from him. he is, I'm going to get to this in a minute. He's the one player I personally wanted to see whatever message he chose, because that's the one that would resonate the strongest with me.
Yes.
Okay, so at least you could have made a list of what not to do.
Right.
Like that would be the most you could do, is just say, okay, we can't use victims' names because it's going to be a slippery slope of what if we leave somebody out?
Right.
What if somebody doesn't get picked?
Because you said their death was more important or more tragic.
And some families might be too raw to have you putting their name on their back. I don't know. You'd have to make sure you cleared it.
Even though
with
the
each family.
WNBA, I think they're using female victims.
Okay?
If I'm not mistaken, I could be wrong, but I think
you would have to draw a line about defamatory, too negative.
No F to police, no F 12.
Okay, and yet with as I was speaking of our commander-in-chief, I think he would be fair game. If you want to put that on,
you can't put F 45. No, come on, Skip.
Well, not F, but if you wanted to take issue with his, because he's taking issue with you, so I would call him fair game. But that's debatable. Right. Okay, now that's all you should have done. And Jaylen Brown and Mike Scott. It was like a day later. They said, "What is this?"
Right.
And Jaylen Brown gave his 3 examples of things he'd already thought of. Personal, individualized freedom of expression. He wanted to say, break the cycle. I'm good with that. Inequality by design. That's deep.
I like that.
Like it. And then this might be your favorite, results.
Right.
Results. What have you told me? You need to see some results.
That's what I need to see.
No more lip service. No more, we're open to this. You need results.
Right.
Okay, well, those 3 are not on the list right now. Okay? So good for them. Mike Scott just said they swung and missed on this one. Well, they did. Now that brings me to LeBron James. I'm going to speak strictly as the white guy over here. I believe white people, above all, needed to see these expressions on the backs of these jerseys, because a lot of white people love this game and admire greatly these athletes who play it, especially that guy. White people needed to constantly be reminded of what your messages are. Maybe, because you told me early on, okay, it's just a lot of talk, it's symbols. What did you say? It's just
symbolic gestures.
It's just symbolic gestures, and you're tired of symbolic. That's you, and that's great, and I respect that. Now I'm talking about me, because I think I have some feel for how white people think.
Absolutely.
They need to. This needs to be driven home. The conversation needs to be kept aflame. It cannot fade. And those messages would mean a lot to white people if, I think it's going to be 4 games or so that they would wear them.
Right.
If you keep seeing these.
But you could continue.
You can, if you want.
Yes, yes.
But remember, it's subliminal. It's subconscious. We need to be bombarded with these messages.
You do, Skip, and it already had started rubbing some white people the wrong way, because you saw the senator that sent the email and asked the NBA, well, why don't you put the military? Why don't you put the police?
I got it, but that's going to be out there. I'm talking about a majority of white people. I believe a majority, and I don't have a scientific poll, but I believe a majority of white people in this country, for the first time in its history, have opened eyes, minds, maybe even hearts to,
Yes, I agree.
You're going through that?
I agree.
That's happening? Wait, all these unarmed black men and women are getting murdered by white cops? What is that about? And we saw so many white, mostly kids or younger white people out protesting to the point that I kept telling you, some nights I watch the protests, it feels like there are more white people out there than black people.
And they're still.
Okay, and they're still going.
Skip, I think the thing is, and maybe this happened suddenly, but if you look at the NFL says, okay, at the beginning of the year, you tell us the cause, because you see the cause for the players put on their cleats.
Yep.
You bring it, you bring your cause to the NFL. They vet it. They let you put it on your shoe moving forward. Skip, if you remember, and I know you remember this, Skip, when it came to the footballs, you know the 2 guys that went to the NFL says, we want more access to the footballs, we want to be able to handle them? It was 2 guys. It was Peyton Manning and Tom Brady.
Yeah.
There's a reason why.
Sure.
Anybody else, they're like, man, get out of here.
Agreed.
But those 2 guys carried the lion's share of the weight.
Okay.
And they said, we want to have more access to the footballs, because this thing of one day, so now you get to rub the balls down, you get to handle the balls, and sometimes you look at the ball like, damn, that ball like it played with in the 60s. That's because they've handled it so much.
Okay, I got it. Okay, so in the end, if that guy chooses just to put James on the back of his jersey, I promise you this is going to be the subliminal message to a lot of white people who don't know the nuances of the story,
Right.
the depth of the story, the way you and I know it.
Right.
You know what it's going to say to them? If he doesn't care enough to put a message on the back of his jersey, maybe I, as a white guy, white woman, shouldn't care either. Maybe he's let it go now. Maybe all that's over now, and I don't want that to happen. He should have been the key to this with his personalized experiment. I don't know. He is a very creative thinker. He would have come up with one where I would have said, whoa, hadn't thought of that.
Maybe he wanted more than an athlete on the back.
Maybe he did. And speaking of that, I don't want him now to look like he is just shutting up and dribbling, because that's how it's coming.
No.
Well, I'm just telling you, it's how it's going to come across. Some people are going to say, well, which is the narrative he despises the most.
Right.
And he fell right into that quote unquote trap because he got pushed into the trap by his commissioner for not involving him in this process and allowing complete freedom of expression.
Skip, I'm not so sure that every time that he steps to the podium or they ask him a question and he's going to say, yeah, we're down here to win a championship, but we know about the issues that's going on outside of this bubble that we want to bring resolution to.
Okay.
That seems like that's him.
Okay.
And I'm sure all of the guys will have something to say about this movement and about change that's being brought about.
I hope so, and he definitely will. But I don't, look, he's the one guy who early on, he said